What's going on, gamers? It's your boy Diggs Gaming. Welcome back to Off Hunting's Gaming News. Today, I am joined with
Sir Meliodas.
Welcome back, Meliodas. How's it feel to be back?
I'm alive.
All right, we have a lot to talk about, starting with the perfect Dark Reboot. Now, I saw this story and my mind was just blown because I had never heard of something like this. I mean, we've heard of games being in trouble because of strict deadlines. Well, this is the exact opposite. We're hearing major departures have been from the initiative, the studio that's making the perfect Dark Reboot in the last 12 months. I mean, a lot of people have left the studio in the past few months because the game is just taking too long to be made. Xbox has been very relaxed with making this game. It's just crazy. And now you're hearing that the project may now be led by Crystal Dynamics, who were brought in to help with this project. I mean, Meliodas, you saw the article. I mean, what was your reaction to this?
Oh, boy. Maybe that's why some people left. The track record with Crystal Dynamics is not very good right now, especially coming from the hot fuzz of the Avengers game. But also, Crystal Dynamics is good with making single-player games if you look at their Tomb Raider series. So, I don't know. It's a 50-50. So, 36 people left. From me reading the article, over 36 people have left the studio.
Yeah, this was a report from... Oh, sorry.
And more are still leaving. So, Microsoft, I don't know what's going on. We got to get together.
Yeah, the Video Game Chronicles describe this as a fast and furious wave of senior departures in the last 12 months. I mean, this game is in trouble, and it's already looking like it's going to be pushed back by a few years. And I think can we start to call this development hell right now for the Perfect Dark Reboot? You think, or is it too soon to call it?
Too soon? What they announced it? What, about 2 years ago? If not a year and some change ago?
Something like that.
So I say, if we don't hear anything from Microsoft soon, I'll give it 2 more years. Then.
All right. That seems fair. But yeah. And I'm just hoping that this game does not get into any more trouble. And hopefully they can get this project back on track, because people have been wanting to do Perfect Dark game for the longest time. They've been wanting it for the longest time. And, you know, it's a good thing that Xbox doesn't force anything, but when you're in an industry that's just all about deadlines and making sure that you can get this stuff ready on time and you're not taking too long, when you're talking about the complete opposite of what is generally called a toxic environment, where you're just pushing and pushing and pushing, working these workers to their breaking point, when you go in the completely opposite direction, it will start to frustrate some people. And that's what we're seeing. And it's sad that we are seeing that, but I mean, that's just the reality of what we live in. And really, you got to find the balance. And not a lot of companies are good at finding the balance. All right, moving on. This week, we got the Hogwarts Legacy State of Play. And it was everything that people that have been waiting for this game have been wanting to see and more. Everybody's been wondering what exactly this game is going to be. Well, everything got answered in this. And oh my God, I am so hyped for this game. First things first, it's coming holiday this year. That means it's going up against Starfield. And that could be an interesting battle. Meliodas. Wouldn't you agree?
Starfield?
Yeah.
I'm not really too excited for neither, so I'm not sure.
Yeah, he's not big on Harry Potter, but me and KBR, and God, this was just so exciting. I mean, first things first, this is an interesting take on a Hogwarts story, because you are a new student at Hogwarts, but you start off as a 5th-year student. And I'm just wondering how they're going to do that, how that story is going to go, because you have to catch up with your classmates, and you're going to get a lot of help from the Room of Requirement, which is kind of your home base. That's where you're going to really learn how to hone your wizarding skills. And you can take control of a style of magic that has not been seen in years and is very rare. That is very, very interesting. And it was also confirmed that dark magic will also be introduced in this game. And as far as the villain of this game, well, one of them is a goblin. And I mean, we saw goblins in the movies, but this is really putting a goblin in a role that we had not seen before. And I really am excited to see how all of this will go. And of course, you're taking on dark wizards, you're taking on other things, but I mean, this is very interesting, and everything about this just looked amazing. I mean, this was an A for me. This was an A state of play from what we saw from Hogwarts Legacy. It just got me so hyped. And looking at Twitter, it got a lot of fans of this game very hyped for this, and hopefully it lives up to that hype. But yeah, I mean, this Hogwarts state of play was absolutely amazing. Just amazing. And reminder, it takes place in the 1800s. So this is way before anything that we see from Harry Potter and even Fantastic Beasts. Way before that. So yeah, this is very, very, very hyped up. And one more thing. It was also confirmed there are no microtransactions in this game. Okay, moving on. Last week, I had talked about how 8 reports have been added to the class action lawsuit against Sony for gender discrimination. Well, Sony has responded to that. Sony said in a quote, Sony Interactive Entertainment takes the substance of the newly submitted declaration seriously, although most are by former employees who no longer work at the company. Sony has either addressed or will address the issues in them in due course, as Sony values its female employees and takes proactive steps to ensure they have every opportunity to thrive and be heard. Now, Sony is still trying to get this lawsuit thrown out, which, I mean, it's a big company. You're going to want to have this lawsuit thrown out. It's bad press if this goes any further. But I'm just hoping that they put their money where their mouth is, and they actually are doing things to help improve the company. And if some good come out of this, that's great. It shouldn't have come to that, but let's just hope that Sony is able to learn from this and be better for it. Now, let's be honest, if they do the exact opposite of what Activision did, they should be okay. Now, I know this could also not be true.
Yeah, stuff like when I read stuff like that, I take it with a grain of salt, because if you say that we look at Naughty Dog and you have a lead female that was before she left, she was the lead in making Uncharted and I believe it was The Last of Us and all of that. So I look at this article and I'm like, maybe. Then I'm like, maybe not. So until we see concrete evidence, which we probably won't because they can't show stuff like that, but I believe it's going to be thrown out sooner than later.
But also keep in mind, with a company as big as Sony, I mean, there's always going to be a few bad apples. Let's be honest. There's always going to be a few bad apples. And once it gets out and you take steps to make sure that you don't see this again, then again, good things can come out of this. It's just sad that this has to happen for it to happen. But I mean, that's what happens with most of this stuff. Did that confuse anybody?
No.
Okay. All right. Moving on to Microsoft. And Sir Meliodas, you've heard of Moon Studio and Ori and the Blind Forest and its sequel, right?
Yeah.
Well, Microsoft is not helping Moon Studios with their next game because of an oppressive place to work that has issues with crunch, verbal abuse, and a poor organization.
With Moon Studio?
Mm-hmm.
No wonder they didn't buy them out.
Yeah. This includes reports of consistent arguments in a crunch culture, which developers were expected to be available at all hours and on weekends, and a stream of racist, sexist, and anti-Semitic banter. And I'm reading this from an IGN article. So yeah, that really does explain a whole lot. And if that's true, I applaud Microsoft for taking the initiative and just cutting their ties with them. I applaud them for that, because they could have easily looked the other way because of how good those games were, but they didn't. And I really do applaud them for that.
Interesting. Actually, hearing from that news. Because the game, you look at the games are actually beautiful. So it contradicts the studio themselves to make something beautiful, but have something so evil inside of themselves. So that's
Let's
very
not forget,
interesting.
Rockstar has gotten into trouble with this over the years. CD Projekt Red has gotten into trouble with some of this. Even Naughty Dog's gotten into trouble with this. But
True.
when it gets to a point of that, where it sounds like it's taken to extremes, then you really have to say something about it. And again, I just love Microsoft and Phil Spencer for doing that, and not just looking at how good the games are, but looking at the company themselves. I don't know how many video game companies would look the other way with something like this. I really don't.
A lot.
Yeah. And again, I applaud Microsoft for this. And hopefully it's something that a lot of companies can start to do in the future. Like hopefully we start to see Sony, Nintendo, maybe even other companies looking at this and going, do we really want to buy this company? I know they make great games, but with the way they treat their employees, do we really want to be associated with them anymore? And I mean, you can say whatever you want about Microsoft and what they've been doing the past few generations, but when you see stuff like this, they are doing something right. Okay, moving on to Gran Turismo 7. Now, Gran Turismo 7 came out, great reviews, people were loving the game, and then during this week, a patch dropped. And this patch was not well received for two reasons. One, they kind of cut the credits that you would receive after a race. So you would get less after a race. But that's not the big issue right away. The big issue was that after the patch, the game went offline and nobody could play it. Went offline, and it was offline for 2 days before they fixed it. Yeah, those two factors have led to Gran Turismo 7's user score on Metacritic just fall and fall and fall. It is now below a 2 out of 10.
I saw that.
I mean, that is just terrible because this game is a really good game. It's a really good game. It's one of the best Gran Turismo games that we have seen in a long time, and it's dropping because of some poor management on the developer's part. Oh man, that is not good for both the developers and for Sony. That's not good press right now. That's not what you want to see. And for Gran Turismo, a lot of people are thinking this is a test drive for what Sony could do with their live service games in the future, and now you got people scared.
Yeah, you can't always go right with a live service game. It's a risk.
And it's not something that you're going to get right away. Like, how many times did it take Bungie to really get Destiny to where it is right now? It took them a few tries.
They would have left. See, the way they had Destiny 1, and it's what was it, 5-year cycle they had it?
Something like that.
But then they did a whole reset on Destiny 2 instead of taking what they did to perfect Destiny 1. So it took them even longer with Destiny 2.
But that was not their fault. That was Activision forcing Bungie's hand at that. Because Bungie wanted to support Destiny longer, but that was Activision wanting to get a second game out. That's part of the reason why Bungie's no longer with Activision.
The mechanics that they had, I don't know why they just did a full reset.
Oh.
Yeah, it was like that they reset the shaders to where you couldn't, like, when you had a shader in the game, a certain shader, you can equip it to any piece, but now you had to get certain amount of, I don't know what they were trying to do with that, but
again, we don't know what happened with that development because, again, that was when Bungie was still with Activision, and we all know just how bad Activision is. I mean, we've all seen how bad they've been the past few years, so we have no idea. Maybe that was part of Activision forcing Bungie's hand. We don't know. But ever since Bungie left Activision, they have really turned Destiny around. Destiny 2, I mean, you haven't played Destiny 2. I would suggest checking it out because I think it's really good. But
I played it when it first came out. Bought it. I haven't played it recently though.
Yeah, I gotta get back to it. But anyway, back to Gran Turismo 7. It's a shame that stuff like this is happening, but hopefully with what Sony has learned from this, because with a live service game, it's trial and error. You have to try different things. But I just don't understand what they were thinking, lowering the credits that you would receive from races. I don't know what they were thinking with that, what the thought process was for that. But hopefully they can learn what has happened with Gran Turismo 7 and apply it so that they can make those live service games that are going to come out in the future better than what they probably could have been now. Well, hopefully this is a lesson learned for Sony, and hopefully pretty soon they start to put the credits back to where they were, because people are really getting upset over the microtransactions in Gran Turismo 7. And I completely understand that. I do not like microtransactions in full price games, because this is $70. This is a $70 game and you're already putting microtransactions in it. And I know you don't have to buy microtransactions. You always have that argument, but there are people that just will not help themselves.
Which begs the question, if you do a game as a live service game, it should be either not full price, because you're going to do microtransaction to get all that money back anyway. So you could either do like a $30, and then you can do microtransaction, or you can make it free to play.
Like Destiny 2. And what Destiny 2 does, they charge you for the extra content that you will get. That might be the right way to do it. But
Marvel's Avengers needs to go free to play, because I don't know why they're charging us full price and they have microtransaction, and the game is terrible. But that's another story for another day.
Yeah, Gran Turismo 7. It's a shame what has happened the last week with this game. Hopefully, Sony's able to learn their lesson from this. And given Sony's track record, they do learn their lessons pretty well. So I have faith that they will learn their lesson. But yeah, this was a big step back, Sony. They did not have a good week last week. Moving on, the Xbox Series XS outsold the PlayStation 5 in Europe for the first time last month. That is pretty big for Xbox. Now, part of the reason is because probably of the Xbox Series S and how available it is, how easy it is to get it compared to the Series X and the PlayStation 5. And with all these great games that have been coming out this year, I mean, it's just been one after another after another. You have people that probably just don't want to wait for either one of those to come out, and they're just getting the one that they can get their hands on, which is the Series S. And it's even easier to get a Series X than it is a PlayStation 5. Let's be honest.
Still trying to get the Series X.
You know, and you have a lot of people that still are waiting for PlayStation 5. They've been trying to get one since launch day. I mean, it's just not good, but this is a really good thing for Xbox right now, because I remember seeing the report that the PlayStation 5 was outselling the Series XS 2-1. Or was it just the Series X? Like they were just putting the PlayStation 5 as Series X. Actually, I think that's what it is. I mean, this is something that Xbox can really celebrate, the fact that they outsold the PlayStation 5. Again, this was in Europe for the first time. They outsold the PlayStation 5 during the month of February. And all right, moving on. Last week, we had mentioned that there were some dev kits from Sony that were sent out, some PlayStation 5 dev kits. And it looks like what they were was PlayStation VR 2. And that makes all the sense in the world. It makes all the sense in the world that those dev kits were starting to be sent out. The report is saying that probably more than 2,000 PlayStation VR 2 dev kits were sent out. And if you believe the reports where they're going to wait to release it until early 2023, then this makes all the sense in the world, and to why you want to put those dev kits in the hands of developers right now. Yeah, PlayStation VR 2, you have a lot of people that really want to see what Sony can do with VR this time.
That'd be fun.
Yeah, and hopefully we get a more in-depth look at PlayStation VR 2 pretty soon. And I personally only have tried VR once, and I never had the original PlayStation VR. My neighbor did, and he let me check it out. I gotta say, it is pretty impressive what we can do with VR nowadays. It is.
I definitely want to get one. They have a lot of VR games on the PlayStation that look very fun, especially the Resident Evil 4 VR. I have to get my hands on that.
Yeah, and we already know about one game coming to PlayStation VR 2. It's that Horizon Call of the Mountain game. And we would like to get another look at that game, because, I mean, the trailer that we got was just a teaser trailer, and it looked like it was going to be an on-rail game, which a lot of people are hoping that's not the case, because they want to see what you can really do with this. And I don't think it will be. I think it's going to be not an Unreal game, but we shall see.
Mhm.
So we might be getting a new look at the PlayStation VR 2 pretty soon. And looks like developers are getting their hands on the dev kits. That'll be really interesting.
I say it'd be holiday.
That it comes out.
Holiday.
That it
Yeah,
comes
I
out.
say they're probably launching a holiday.
Okay. Okay.
Holiday of this year or holiday of next year?
That's
But
the question.
I have a feeling that it'll be holiday. It'll make more sense because you can bundle it with a PS5 bundle. And you can get the VR. That'll make more sense. So I think they'll do that.
All right. You heard Sir Meliodas' prediction on that. All right. Moving on. EA has announced that the EA Play Live will not be held this year, and the company will release information on games when they are ready. That tells me that they do not have a lot of games that are ready to be shown at this time. It really sounds like EA wants to be careful of when they release information for games, which I think that's the right way to look at it. You'd never want to reveal a game too early, because what happens when you reveal a game too early? You keep waiting and waiting and waiting. That's what happened with Cyberpunk 2077. We just kept waiting and waiting for it, and then the game comes out and it wasn't great.
It's fixed now.
Yeah, and we have a next gen update coming soon for Cyberpunk 2077. But
it's out.
Oh, it's already. Oh, you're right. It is already out.
We're waiting for the Witcher one now.
And right now, we're going to start to see some events happening and some events being announced. This time of year where we're going to start to see some big reveals. PAX East is coming up in the month of April, so we will start to see some information happening real soon. But as far as EA is concerned, a big event showing a lot of games, that is not going to happen this year. You know, I'm not shocked by this because we're still in the after effects of the pandemic. And, you know, games, they keep getting delayed and, you know, looks are being pushed back. So we're still in the after effects of it. And hopefully these companies can start catching up with getting information out there and getting their games released. It's been a tough few years for us. It really has been when it comes to stuff like this.
Well, I think another problem with EA is they still are getting a lot of blowback from Battlefield 2042?
Yeah, 2042. That really probably set them back a little bit too. That's a good point.
Oh, I think that and they're probably working on a new IP. It was a rumor that they're working on another Mass Effect. There was another rumor. I'll take it with a grain of salt, but they could be going back to Anthem and reworking that. I know they said they canned it, but gotta think about that as well.
And they're working on 3 Star Wars games as well, because they actually confirmed they're working on 3 Star Wars games.
And I think they're going back to the what was it? The canceled one that when Disney bought out LucasArts. I think they're going back to the Boba Fett.
Which one? There were a few that got canceled.
It was the Boba Fett one. I forget the name of it.
I know what you're talking about, and I forgot the name of it too.
The origin story of Boba Fett. I think they finally got the green light to go back and work on that again. I think with all that on them, I think they just want to take it slow.
Which is the right way to do this. I mean, let's be honest, it's the right way to do it. It may be a little frustrating with us just wanting to see information, but if you wait for the right time to release information, then that can just go a long way. That's what Sony does all the time, that they wait till the right time to release information, and it works out for them most of the time. Let's be honest, it does. Just when you think the stories stop, we got another one. Elden RIng has sold 12 million copies in 2 weeks. Oh my God. I knew Elden RIng was going to be good. It was great. And I knew it was going to sell a lot of copies. I didn't think it would sell that many in that short a time period. And to be honest, I am not shocked because, like I said, Elden RIng could have just locked up Game of the Year. And it was released in February. And we could already have our Game of the Year.
It convinced me to buy it. And you guys know I hate Dark Souls-like games. But I'm actually enjoying this mess. So
yeah, my neighbor, same neighbor that showed me the PlayStation VR 1, He showed off a little bit of Elden Ring to me, and yeah, I am definitely going to pick up the game. I don't know when, but I will be picking it up. I mean,
it's pretty fun, especially the exploration and finding new stuff. Like,
oh yeah, that's what he loves about it too. And really, this is a game where you could just put hours and hours into it. There's so many bosses to take on. This is really a game that From Software just hit it out of the park on this one. And with the help of George R. R. Martin, and by the way, George R. R. Martin revealed it that he actually purposefully used his initials for some of the characters. I like that. I like little touches like that. That absolutely amazing what From Software did with this game. We knew this game had the potential to be really good. We just didn't think From Software was going to make it as good as it is.
yeah, some of the lore in the game is pretty breathtaking.
I know.
When you read up on it.
And if you have never played a Souls game before, this is the one really to start off with. From everything I've heard, this is the one to start off with.
Yeah, it's pretty easy to get into.
And yeah, you're going to die a lot, but that's part of the excitement of From Software games.
Some of the jumps are still cheesy, but...
And to finish out the gaming news, we got some things from Resident Evil. Now, we have a release date for the live-action TV series coming to Netflix. That's going to be coming out July 14th. And if you could see Meliodas right now, he is not too excited about it. But this one, I know everybody will be excited about. Your save data is going to be transferable when the next-gen updates for Resident Evil 7 and Resident Evil 2 and 3 remakes come out. All right, let's just quickly talk about the live-action TV series, and then we'll get into the save data transferred. Yeah, you told me this. You are not too excited about this.
The only good Resident Evil live-action adaptation is the first movie. You can go good. You can say Apocalypse is pretty good too. And you can say Extinction is there. Distinction is kind of good. But after that, Resident Evil is, I don't know what they're doing. I did not bother to watch the new one. I seen how bad it was. It makes no sense linearly. The story makes no sense. I'm not sure what they are cooking up with this, but the casting is not good with this series either. I don't know. I'm gonna take it with a grain of salt. I have Netflix. It's gonna be free because I don't pay for Netflix. But anyway, I'll watch an episode and I will rant and rave about it in the next episode whenever it comes out. But I am not excited. Oh, and besides the animated movies, besides the live action and the animated Resident Evil movies, all the other live action movies, like I said, besides Apocalypse, you can give that one a pass. You can even give it Extinction a pass. I like Extinction a little bit, but after that,
okay. And the second one, I really do like that Capcom decided to do this, because for a lot of people, if you were not able to transfer over your save data, then you would have a lot of people starting all over with the game. It's not something that you really want to do if like you were in the middle of the game and all of a sudden you had to start over.
Especially in Inferno mode. And you thought Dark Souls was hard. Okay.
Yeah. So the save data being transferable between the last gen and this gen, yeah, that is going to make a lot of gamers happy. And really, it's just going to make people want to download the next gen version even quicker than probably if they decided not to do that. So this was the right move to do. I absolutely love they did it. And I know it seems a no-brainer, but you don't always see a company do that. Let's be honest, you don't always.
I don't know. Like I said, maybe this update brings what they should have brought in RE3 remake, which is the content that they cut. Because if you look at RE2, I don't know. Some people still say to this day that the scenarios do not make sense because the scenarios A and B. But we can look past that. But all the content is there. And RE3 remake, I never played the first RE3, but I can tell you that they cut out the grave digger, they cut out the clock tower, they cut out the even Jill going to and exploring the RPD. They cut all that out. Some reason why, for a quick cash grab. So hopefully this next gen update brings what they should have had it in the beginning of the game.
Yeah, it sums up what I heard about the RA3 remake, that it wasn't as good as it could have been. So hopefully this next gen
It's a
update.
nice speed running game. It's pretty short, but yeah, like this. Hopefully, this next gen update brings what it should have brought.
So we shall see what they do when these next gen updates do happen. And that's all we have for today. Now, the next few weeks, we should see a lot of gaming news coming up because, as I mentioned, we're going to have PAX East coming up soon, and GDC is this week as well. So could see a lot of information come out. We've already seen some information come out. We're recording this on a Monday. We saw a lot of information come out, especially today. And next week, we'll be back at it, reporting at it. And it's going to be some exciting updates happening. And as always, I am Diggs Gaming.
And it's been your boy, Sir Meliodas.
We will see you guys next time.
See ya.